things will come up while we're talking. So I'll just leave everyone else to do introduction while I wait for questions from everyone.
Okay, so we'll be starting first with a number of questions from me. So just to get the mood, we'll take that on for hopefully the next 25, 30 minutes. And if you have your own question, you can also ask in the chat window as well too. So when I'm done with some of the questions, we'll pick questions from the chat window. So thank you. And just to notify everyone, this session is being recorded, and we'll be sharing the recording with us later. You can share with your friends. We just need to help as many people as possible. Yeah, so you're welcome, Ayo. So what exactly is project management? Let's start from that. That is a word that a lot of people is familiar with, but help us a bit with some insight into
that. Sarcastically, I can say that project management is how to manage project. And so the question to first ask is, what exactly is project? Because we know everyone seems to know what it is to manage. You want to manage yourself, you want to manage your career. And so when we talk about project, the first thing we need to understand is what exactly is project. Before now talking about managing something, so there is a general term that says that project is any temporary endeavor you want to undertake. When I say temporary, meaning it's just for a short while. No matter how long it takes, there is always a start and a finish time to project. So that is why whenever you're coming to look into project management career, you will always be on project. Meaning there is always a start and a finish time to these particular project. And also to that is you want to look at a project is always there to give us a specific outcome or a specific result. And I love what you wrote on the LinkedIn stuff concerning this particular webinar when you said, whenever there is something, there is always a change. And whenever there is a change, there is a project. Basically, so that is what project, because whenever there is a change, there is project, meaning the change is to give us something specific or something unique. So a project will always bring about something unique. So while we've defined what a project is, now let's now talk about what exactly is managing a project, which is project management itself. So I will say in a simple term, I'll give different definitions. I'll give, because we have a Prince 2 definition, we have a PMP definition that we'll still talk about. But in a simple term, project management is just a way a person organizes or manages resources that are necessary to complete this particular project was about. So it's a way in which a person, which is a project manager, manages, organizes resources that are necessary. So what are these resources? We're talking about resources could be the money and the people. How you manage the money given to you, how you manage the people given to you, how you manage the materials given to you to make sure that a project is completed. So that is what a project, that's what project management is all about. But let me come back to the global definition of what project management is now, because sometimes when you go on Google and you want to read, when you pick up text and you want to read some textbooks, this is a particular definition that will always jump out to you that says that project management is application of skills, knowledge, in order to complete a project. So you could see that I just spoke about 4 key things now. I spoke about skills, I spoke about knowledge, and tools and techniques. So in the course of this particular chat, we will be talking more about that. So yeah, I think I've said too much for now. So let me hand over back to you.
Okay, that's very helpful. I hope we are taking notes and in understanding the skills and the techniques. So there are, when we say project management, a lot of time people think the only career path in project management is just being a project manager, to say, oh, okay, I'm not a project manager, so I don't have anything to do about it. So my question here is, what are the different career opportunities? So if I want a project management role, should I just be searching for project manager on online, or there are other ways, there are different functions that you have within project management?
Yeah, a lot of people. There are numerous. There are close to like 10 different roles on the project management, and basically, I will say it is all about nomenclature. Really. So the key thing when you look at project management as a career is a lot of people run to, oh, I want to be a project manager. I want to be a program manager. And so quickly say this, but while saying program, so program is a combination of projects, combination of similar projects together to become a program. Meaning I've got 3 projects, and we want one person to oversee these 3 projects. So we need to look at a program manager. So it's still within the confine of program or project management. Now, the first thing you need to look for is a project managerial role. The second thing you look out for is you can be an assistant project manager. Meaning you're deputizing or managing a work stream within a project. Another role you can look into is, which is the common role that we see this time around, is what we call the project management office roles. The first one about the project management office role is we have what we call the PMO manager. So what is a project management office? Now, a project management office is more like an office within an organization where every project that organization will love to go through will definitely be pushed down to that particular office. Just like you have your finance office within an organization, just like you have your logistics and operation, just like you have your supply chain section of the organization. Nowadays, companies are having what we call the project management office, meaning any project that the finance wants to undertake, any project that the engineering team wants to undertake, they will always give it to the project management office to go through it for them. So within that project management office, we'll always have who we call the management office manager. So sometimes when you go on Google, you go on JobServe, or you go on to search jobs, you can always search for PMO. And I will tell people that if you're coming into project management role, the first thing you should, if it's a new career to you, the first thing you want to look out for is look at roles for project support. So we have project support, we have PMO coordinator who coordinate the affairs of the PMO. We have who we call the PMO analyst. These are people that analyzes what the risk, the issues, the stakeholders management, the charts within the project. And also we have the people we call the project planner. When I moved to the UK, I started off as a project planner. Project planner basically are people, or planners are people that look into the plan of a project and making sure that project from start to finish, project timeline are being managed properly, in the sense that, we set some goals for us to do in the next 2 months. And the project planner is there to look at it to say, how are we doing? Are we going the right way we said we will go? Meanwhile, sometimes in some organization, they just have it as a project manager to manage all of that role together. And for some people logging in from Nigeria, this is what we do in Nigeria. A project manager is expected to be the PMO manager, is expected to be the PMO support, is expected to be the program or project planner, is expected to be the project coordinator, is expected to be all of these things together. And I think later on, I will still talk about this when we're talking about if there is any question on CV. I will explain to you how someone actually shaped my CV when I moved into UK very well in that aspect. So these are different roles you can actually look into whenever you're looking into project managerial role. And for some of us, it is very, very easy for us to start from being a project support. Then from project support, we can move into PMO analyst role. We can move into PMO lead role. And now there is sometimes, like I said earlier on, this is about nomenclature. Some organization will use PMO manager. Some organization will use PMO lead. So sometimes they might be the same thing. While in large organization, typical example is when I worked with British Petroleum, we had a PMO manager. And when we had the PMO manager, because within the PMO, we had 7 PMO analysts. Now, 7 PMO analysts were just too much because the program, it was a large program, was 500 million pounds project. And this particular program, was too much for the PMO manager to manage for the PMO office. So they had to bring in a PMO lead to look over 3 PMO analysts, while the PMO manager was looking after the 4 other PMO analysts. Meanwhile, the PMO lead was still reporting to the PMO manager. So sometimes it's all about nomenclature. Some organizations will tell you we want a PMO manager. Some will tell you we want a PMO lead. They might be the same, but when you're looking at the job description, that will tell you if it's something you need to apply for or not. Does that give justice to the different roles we can have?
Yes, I believe that's very helpful. So for someone joining today who has heard about it or thought about the fact that you're looking into a career in project management, so each time you're looking for jobs, rather than just search out for project manager alone, these are different, some of this has been dropped in the chat window as well. So these are different functions that you can type into search, because if you don't ask the right questions, you won't get the right answer. So if you don't search with the right keyword, you might be missing out on different jobs that you can get that is still within project management.
Absolutely.
So the next question is much more like it as well. So now there are also other roles that not directly being a project analyst or PMO analyst or project coordinator, roles like being a business analyst. For instance. So do you want to just throw a bit more light around that and some other similar roles with that, like change manager and things as well, so just to understand these are all within the umbrella of project management?
Yes, and the first one I will say is, which is quite funny, is an accountant. Within the PMO role, we have a particular role that is called the PMO Finance Analyst. And PMO Finance Analysts are always brought into project to come and talk about, or to come and manage the finance of a particular project. And they might be, sometimes when you look at job sale, they will tell you we need someone that is a qualified accountant and all that, but still this person must have a project management experience. So some accountants, some qualified accountants or some accountant who love working within a project management area, they've actually been able to fit more into this role, and they're enjoying themselves because they pay them really, really well. They pay the PMO finance people really, really well. So it's because you're an accountant, you can't, that doesn't mean you can't fit into the project management arena. You can definitely fit into the project management arena. And sometimes, and also the next role that, with the one that Darren mentioned earlier on, was business analyst. I will tell you that a lot of organizations are actually looking for a hybrid role now, where they want someone that's got project management experience as long as a business analyst experience. And what, as a business analyst, you were there to talk about, you have a scope of work. So your role basically is to look into what are the requirements. You have to make sure that the requirements are gathered, you elicit requirements, you analyze these requirements, and you make sure that requirements are well interpreted into what can be built, into what the customer is looking for. And with this, you take this to the build team to say, okay, this is what the customer is looking for. So you're more like a product owner, which I know Dari will be talking about that later on when it comes to agility part of project. And so you, as a business analyst, you are expected to actually understand all of the project project management role as well, because some organizations just want an hybrid. Oh, we've brought in a business analyst. Oh, good. Can you please make sure that you manage risk very well? Can you make sure you manage the change very well? Can you make sure you manage these very well? So all of the project role are dumped on your desk. And as a result of this, you have to make sure that you are on top of the thing as well. So as a business analyst, you're expected to have a little knowledge of project management role. And also as a project manager, you are also expected to know how to collect requirement, how to elicit requirements, how to interpret requirements very, very well as well. And also another one that Darren mentioned is a change manager. For a change manager, one of the things that while most projects fail is because of one thing called scope creep. And what does scope creep means? Scope creep is when you make changes to the project without going through the formal process of management. Meaning, as a project manager, you just woke up one day and you said, you know what? I don't like the way this particular IT project is being done. I want to do it this way because I want to supply. You've been asked to supply. Let's assume you've been, as a project, your project is to migrate your organization from Office 2000 into Office 365. They want to migrate all of the products, and you just woke up one day, you just say, you know what, Office 365 is not really that good. Let's try and deploy Office 2016 for them. Now, you've made a change without going through the change control process. Now, that is what we call scope creep, because you make changes to the process. So as a change manager is there to make sure that any changes that is being raised or that wants to get implemented are taking through the proper change management process. Meaning, I'm in the organization, the project manager is saying, you know what, Ayo, we need to make this change. I have to pick up that change. I have to analyze what are these changes, what is the impact of this change, what's the cost impact, what is the delay, well, if we should implement this change, if we don't implement this particular change, what will be the problem at the end of the day. So as a change manager, you're there to make sure that all of these are getting analyzed, to make sure that you manage all of these. And at the end of the day, you come to the end of it to say, okay, the change control board. So you have a change control board, or you have what we call the design authority. The design authority or the change control board will come to say, this is all I've done as a change manager. I've explained this change. I've done all the analysis on this change, and this is it. Do you want to approve it? You don't want to approve it. If we don't approve this change, this will be the problem at the end of the day. If we approve this change, this is what the change will solve. So it's now left to the change control board based on your proposal for them to approve the change or reject the change. And anything they do to this particular change, whether it's being approved, whether it's being rejected, must be communicated back to whoever raised the change or the project manager. So with this, as a change manager, you've been able to manage the process, and they actually bring in people on project to come and manage this process from start to finish. Because you can, like I said, the number one thing that makes projects to fail is scope creep. So you want to bring in someone that can manage the change. Meanwhile, some projects will always expect the project manager to manage the changes that can happen on the project. Meanwhile, they bring in a Pmo analyst as well, or a Pmo manager to play that role. So it's dependent on how the organization is placed in their structure and who they want to employ, basically. So that is the role of a change manager.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, so sometimes also people bring in a risk manager. Sometimes people bring in resource manager. When you bring in a risk manager, meaning what you're saying is this particular project is a massive project. Like the project I spoke about, a 500 million pounds project, you don't want to mess up with it. You want to bring in a risk analyst or a risk manager into such a project, in such a program, to make sure that whatever can go wrong is being managed properly by an expert. So we brought in a risk manager to do that. And also, because of this particular project was massive, we're going to deploy a particular oil tool, an application tool, to over 21 regions around the world. So because of that, we had to bring in a resource manager who will help us manage all the resources that are needed to do this particular project. And also another role, which is not often mentioned, is what we call the document controller. So a document controller also is expected to understand a project management, and is also more like a project under project management, because when we talk about change control, typically for change control, you have different documents that will be going on the portal, or as a document controller for a massive project, you really want to manage how documents are being stored. So as a document controller, your job is to make sure that you help the program team or the project team to store their document, to do version controlling on documents, to make sure that I'm not working on, let's assume I uploaded a document on a collaborative portal. I'm not working on version 16 while my team are working on version 1. So as a document controller, your role is to make sure that documents are archived as they should be, and the latest version of documents are being worked upon. And also you're managing the SharePoint portal, because most projects now use SharePoint as a collaborative tool. So we store most of the project on most of the documents on SharePoint. So your role is to make sure that people are storing the vital documents, and the documents are not on their local machine. Should anybody get knocked down or on their way to work, and anybody can pick up the job along the line. So that is that. Another role that is silent within the project management role is who we call the SharePoint Designer. Sometimes a document controller can work as a SharePoint designer, while some people will bring in someone different entirely to come and manage SharePoint. Like the project I spoke about, for a 500 million pounds project with over 150 people working on that project, people will be dropping different things, and we needed to design the collaborative to the SharePoint to be user-friendly. So we had to bring in someone on the project to come and design this particular SharePoint to be user-friendly for anybody. Very simple landing page, how documents are being controlled and all of that. So it was more of collaborative measure between the document controller as well as the SharePoint designer. So these are roles you can look into, which will definitely help you within your project management career.
Thank you very much, Ayo. And you see, you mentioned something briefly earlier, the place of the product owner. And that opens up something around the fact that with Agile project management becoming very popular. I mean, the whole concept around Agile started in 2002, started becoming very popular from like 2012 when Harvard Business Review wrote about Agile management. And even though Agile as it's where it's getting application beyond just project management today, but project management seems to be that space where the whole concept of Agile is introducing some new set of roles, where we even have some Agile methodology that is telling you that you don't need a project manager for your projects. You just need this.
Absolutely.
And all that. And some people out there who are probably project managers might now think, okay, so does that mean that if my organization adopts, and one of those framework, for instance, is called Scrum. So some people will now wonder, so does it mean if my organization adopts the Scrum methodology of Agile, does that mean I will no longer have a job as a project manager? So I just wanted to start by telling us some of the new roles that the whole Agile introduced, some brief mention around it, Scrum Master, Product Owner, and the likes, and also tell us how does the project manager still remain relevant in such an environment?
Yes, the transition is happening, and it's happening very, very fast. Just like COVID-19 has brought upon us a lot of things at the moment. Some future of work that should have taken place in the next 5 years have been implemented now. It's moving very fast. We're moving from the traditional waterfall methodology, which is the traditional waterfall methodology. Let me quickly explain that. Is what we call the software development lifecycle, which means the first thing you need to do is I need to collect my requirements. Let's assume we want to develop headphones now. If we want to develop headphones, we need to first of all collect the requirement. What are the requirements we need? Okay, what do we need? We need an headphones that is wireless. We need an headphone. We need an headphone that is that can be tuned, Bluetooth enabled. That's wireless. We need headphones that can grip into someone's ear properly without falling off and all that. So we've collected all of these requirements. Now, the next thing we now need to do is we need to go back to our desk to design what exactly is this requirement is all about. So while we are designing this requirement, so you can see that the first thing we did was to collect requirement. The next thing is to design it. Then after designing, we build. After building, we test. Then after testing, we now try to sign out the whole project. So that is what waterfall is all about. Waterfall is saying that the way water is falling on the rock. From the next rock is falling on the next rock, and that is it. So that's what we call waterfall, meaning you have to finish one phase, you move to the next, you move to the next, you move to the next. But now Agile is coming to play. Agile is saying, you know what, you're wasting money, you're wasting resources, because after you've done requirement, you've designed, you've developed, you've tested, why do you have to wait till the last portion of the whole thing before you start testing? Because if there was a defect from the beginning, the work will now be starting all over again. So now Agile is coming to say, you know what, we need to come into play here and make sure that we're not wasting resources, to make sure that we're not wasting time, money in doing all of this. Can we make sure that we operate in an iterative way to say, okay, we want to build earphones. Within that earphones, there are a lot of things that need to be built. We need to build the speaker. We need to build the casing. We need to build that. So instead of us doing everything, why not let us pick up the speaker first? Let's build the speaker. Is the speaker good? Yes, it's good. Okay. Are we good with it? Oh, no, we're not good. Let's make the changes. And all that. So Agile allows for changes as we progress through the project, which the traditional waterfall is not giving us. So, like I said, Darry is an Agile coach. He will definitely talk more about that, really. But now, when we now talk about, but the problem still stands that for smaller projects, traditional waterfall will still be put in place for smaller projects compared to bigger projects. Now, for construction work, for real project, construction project, real project, oil and gas project, FMCG project. Now, because my focus basically is not really on IT project. Yes, for IT project, the transition is coming. And I will tell you, a lot of people are having issues with that because I worked on a project at BAT. We started off saying we want to use Agile. We started off with Agile. We had our product owner. We had our Scrum Master, our Agile coach. We had our testers. We had all of that. But along the line, we ran into trouble and we said, you know what? Let's develop some part of it as waterfall and let's develop some part as Agile. So at the end of the day, we came up with what we call the Agile. So we came up with Agile methodology. I'm sure Darry is laughing that what on hell is Agile? No, we came up with Agile methodology to say, okay, we're using Agile, and all because we ran into trouble and we don't want to go back to traditional waterfall because the organization is saying we need to use Agile methodology for this. So at the end of the day, we just have to look for a compromise to say, guys, let's use Agile. Let's use waterfall as well as Agile to do some part of a project. At the end of the day, we're able to develop the project. So as we're progressing, really, the time for the transition is, because the complete transition is not now. The complete transition will not happen in another decade. You get so the fear of will I still get a job is not really there. Like I said, construction project. I did a very good topic on while Agile methodology will not work within the construction project. It's not feasible for now, and also for FMCG, it's not going to work for FMCG project at the moment. But strictly for IT project, yes, Agile. I will tell people that as it is going, Agile is the way. If you can plug yourself into Agile project management, plug yourself into Agile project management as well as a traditional waterfall, because when you get into organization, because some project managers don't even, or some organization don't even have an understanding of what Agile project management is at the moment. So even though yes, we're doing it, but don't be deceived. They're not. So if at this point in time, plug yourself into traditional waterfall project management, understand that, then when you get into the organization, you can move into that. But I'm spoiling the market for Darry now, because Darry is an Agile coach. So definitely it is still, like I said, there are a lot of projects, and at the moment, so they want that specific knowledge when it comes to Agile project management, and they want you to go into it, to come in. When you come in, can you be a Scrum Master? Can you be a product owner? And all of that. And sometimes a business analyst they always make use of business analyst as product owner in some cases. In some other cases, there are standalone product owner who they are there as a product owner to look into what the requirements are, look at your backlog of activities, look at how we can work on the sprint, how we can work on each Scrum, each sprint planning to get the absolute result we're looking for.
Good.
Does that make any sense?
Yes, very much, very much. Thank you very much. Honestly, being an agile coach, some of the things Ayo has mentioned, these are some of the things that we get to argue a lot with project managers and say, no, I don't agree on this and all of this. But the fact is that this both school of thought is correct. And one of my favorite jokes in Agile is the fact where there was someone who got to heaven and he was asking the angel that, how do I know that this is heaven? And the angel was telling him that because you've not had anybody telling you since that Agile can solve everything. So, and if you worked in a space where you have Agile coaches and Scrum Masters and all that, where you just hear people telling you, oh, we just have to do Agile. Agile can work in every situation and things like that, we get to realize that it doesn't pretty much work like that. Well, because this session is, we're just trying to lay a bit of foundation for a lot of us and give us some things that we can take home and research further on as well too. So we're just touching all these things on the surface. You want to do a full course on project management is like a full 5-day course. So you just know that all these things we're just talking about, we're just rushing through them and dropping out things that you can research further on. So in the perspective of Agile project management, so to say, there are different methodologies in Agile project management. One of the most popular is called Scrum. And then there are other methodologies called like Kanban. There is also another very popular methodology, which is called Scaled Agile Framework. Scaled Agile Framework, or SAFe. So why I'm dropping all these things is that, so that when some of you are like, oh, I want to understand what Agile project management is all about, these are some of the things you can go out there and search. And then if you are considering, okay, you know about, which is very popular, you know about the Project Management Institute, where you can get certifications like the PMP and the like. So there are also other bodies where you can get certifications in Agile. Even the Project Management Institute have a certification called ACP, the Agile Certified Practitioner. There's Prince 2 Agile Practitioner certification that you can do as well. So,
correct. Yeah.
And all these different methodologies I dropped on the chat, these are methodologies that they also have their own certification. So you can get certification from Scrum Alliance, from scrum.org, from Kanban University, from Scaled Agile Framework websites. And some of the different roles that you can get certified on in this area are very popular. Of all those different roles are like the Scrum Master certifications, Product Owner certification, and then we have the Agile Coach certification. As an Agile Coach, more often, it's not something, you don't just get an Agile Coach certification when you're just starting up in Agile. You probably get into different roles, either Product Owner, Scrum Master, or something, because being an Agile Coach, there is the expectation of versatility to be able to understand the different methodologies within Agile. And like you said, it's penetrating so much in IT project management. It's penetrating so much in IT project management today. However, places like and I love the fact that some of us responded concerning what we do. I can see that a number of us, someone who manages an hotel, a PhD student, MBA student, construction, project engineer, health and safety professional, and the like. So it's understanding that when we're talking about project management here, it's much more beyond IT, even though that's like one of the spaces where we get a lot of project managers today, being that most organizations, regardless of your line of business, IT is something that is almost always changing. There is always a new IT system you need to deliver. So you get a lot of project management roles within IT, but there are also opportunities outside IT as well. So for the time being, really, Agile projects, managing Agile project management is much more realistic at the moment within IT projects, not very well outside construction and things like that. However, some organizations are beginning to experiment with it. Like Aya rightly said, that they came up with something called an hybrid waterfall and agile methodology. I love that funny name you called it, Agile. So, and the truth is that that's what a lot of organizations out there are still doing today, even though some of them don't want to acknowledge that they are still diluting or mixing things up. But it's very important that organizations get clarity on what path they're actually facing. Or, okay, what's happening here? Sorry, I just, okay. Okay, so that's, some organizations don't acknowledge the fact that they are mixing things up, but it happens a lot still. But nevertheless, what we are just talking about here is pointing us to different things that we need to learn or understand that we can research on. So without much ado, I've dropped some of those different agile methodologies there. The next thing I'll just talk about is like the different roles, which is you have like Scrum Master role, very popular, product owner roles, very popular. You can research more on things like that. So the Agile coach and the likes as well too. And there are so many certifications, like I said, the Agile certified practitioner you can get. You can be certified. You can be a certified Scrum Master. You can be a certified product owner. You can get certifications in Kanban. You can be a safe product owner, which is in scaled agile, or release train engineer, a whole lot of them. If you research some of those methodologies I mentioned, you'll get some much more insights around things like that. So the next thing I want to talk about, ask as a question here, is that now with the whole, with what is happening today, I mean, there is no, there's every conversation happening, we can't shy away from what COVID-19 has led a lot of what the situation is. I'm believing that post-COVID, there is going to be most likely a rise in need for project managers, because a lot of organizations will have to do something new. And by doing something new,
absolutely.
That means they have to set up a project team around that, and they will need people to get in to manage those projects. And also another need where a lot of organizations will also be looking for more, even new. And I say just maybe people who are not even having so much experience in project management here, is because some companies, as they are trying to do this project, they're also trying to save costs. So sometimes they'll be looking for people who are new, who they can pay less than people who have so much years of experience and all that. So that being said, there's going to be a lot of opportunities, and this is a projection. It's not, but it's something that I believe it's definitely going to happen. There's going to be a lot of needs for new projects, people different of this, all these different project management roles. So my question here is that how do people prepare themselves for such opportunities? So somebody who has not worked at all in project management at all, what are the skills, like you mentioned earlier, those skills and those techniques that people need to pay attention to learning and making sure they can get them on their CV as soon as possible? How can they put their CV together? How can they go out there to look for opportunities? And also touching a bit on the areas of, with the way we've worked remotely a lot now, there might be a lot of organizations happy to even engage remote roles in all this. So how do people position, what do they need to do? So speak to people. Imagine I've not done anything in project management and I need to get ready in the next 1 month. What do I do?
The first thing you need to do is two things basically, which you can't shy away from. Like you mentioned when you were doing your own introduction as well, is mentorship and internship. You can't shy away from both. Basically, it's a green field. It's a field you've never been before. So you want to look at who is in this. Who can I talk to? Who can take me through this and all that? And that's what mentorship is all about. And for me, that was quite critical. When I moved to UK, I didn't have the opportunity you had. The opportunity I was given was sending my CV to a recruiter, and the recruiter looked at my CV, and the recruiter said, "Come on, this is your CV. I can see a lot of lies in this your CV." And I looked at him. I said, "No, lies in my CV." And it's because on this particular CV, you say you're the project manager, you're the Pmo analyst, looking at risk issues and actions. Or you also said that you happen to be the program planner who was looking at the plans and all that. I say yes, because I just moved from Nigeria, and as a Nigerian, as a project manager, you expected to do everything all together. And they said, no, it's not going to fly. You need to focus on one thing. If you're a project manager, let your CV reflect that you're a project manager and shove away all of those. So for me, I got a very, very good mentoring when it comes to my CV from a recruiter that I knew from nowhere. You get the guy just, and the moment I reviewed that, and I started getting calls. I know that. So like I said, you can't shy away from mentoring. You can't shy away from internship. And one of the best way to do this basically is.
Hello, Ayo. Sorry. I got you on mute. I need to unmute you now. I tried to mute everyone, so just a minute. Okay, yeah.
Okay, all right. So I said you can shy away from mentoring. So look for people who are ahead of you. Try to do that. And also, one of the issues we've got is, oh, I've been working in a different field entirely, or a different career entirely. How do I move into this? How do I move into project management? How do I get my CV to reflect into this? And what I always tell people is, I always use the word projectized. No matter what you're doing in the past, everything we're doing is always a project. It's not dependent on how you say it. So the moment you have a typical project management understanding, you will see that, oh, so what I've been doing in the past has always been project. Really, I can actually projectize the quote and unquote to make sure it fits into exactly what I'm looking for or what my CV wants to reflect. And what you're doing is, if you're in the UK, I tell people that the basic you can have is to have a Prince2 Foundation certification on your CV. That's the basic you can have for you to get into that field, because people want to, now they don't go through CV line by line anymore. What they look for in your CV is what is called the buzzwords. What are the buzzwords that must be on your project, that must be on your CV? As a project management person, you want to have things like Prince2 Foundation or Prince2 on your CV. You get that's the barest minimum you can have on your CV. You want to have something like risk, issues, actions, dependencies on your CV. You want to have things like stakeholders management on your CV, because when they run your CVs through their software, CV sorting software, that is what they're looking for. Folks, nobody sits anymore to look at CV line by line, because if the one job is rolled out, they get over 1,000 CVs for one job being rolled out. And nobody will look at 1,000 CVs to look at, okay, which one fits into my stuff and all that. All they just do is pass most of through that software. It sieves it out. Then after sieving, the next thing they will now start looking for is, okay, years of experience and all of that. So sometimes when you're writing your CV, it's always good to put it there. The years you've been working, I've got 10 years experience, whatever in this. I've got 12 years experience in project management. So that is how to review your CV. So the CV will always sell you. The CV will always sell you how to anybody you want to go. And also, while you're doing this, there are a lot of materials on YouTube. A lot of materials on YouTube. Make YouTube your friend. It's not a time for you to start watching Britain's Got Talent. It's not a time for you to start watching America's Got Talent on YouTube, because what I've discovered with most of those things, even though that's not the topic, the moment you watch that 2-minute video, you watch the next 2-minute video, you watch the next 2-minute video, before you know it, it's 1 hour 30 minutes you've been on it. And that 1 hour 30 minutes can be channeled into something else on project management, on how to manage stakeholders. Because I always tell people, the job of a project manager is about stakeholders management. That's number one job of a project manager, stakeholders management. And stakeholders management it's in a helicopter way. How do you manage the people that are working for you? How do you manage the people that give you the job to do? So it's dependent on how you're managing those folks. That is what stakeholders management is all about, and that's about communication. So get on YouTube, look for stakeholders management, look for how to manage your risk, issues, dependency, and all that. So you need to make YouTube your friend. There is nothing you're looking for that is not on YouTube. So your YouTube can even be your place of internship and all that. And also, if you're in UK or you're in Nigeria, a very good example of where you can actually get internship when it comes to project management is iCentral. Taufik Babayeju is a very good guy. You can speak to, you can send him a mail, you can chat him up on Twitter, and if he's got that opportunity, he will do it for you. Here in the UK, very good place is FDM. FDM has got a very good system in place where for people that even want to come into project management role from scratch, they will bring you in, even though they sign contracts to say for the first 2 years or 1 year, this is how much you get and all of that, which I don't really subscribe to. But if you know that you really want to get into project management, they are the best set of folks you can get into. Another person is this guy does his internship. He does his training. If you're coming into it, he does his trainings and also review CVs for people. KG, it's called Career Insight. It's a typical guy you can work with as well. Like I said, that is a very person you can work. You can actually approach anytime as well to look at your CV, to take you through this. But like I said, one of the things you need to do if you're really, really looking into coming into this role is to keep on reading, keep on looking for materials. And like I said, if you're in the UK, Prince 2, it's your BRS minimum you can look out for. And if you're in Nigeria, you can do your PMP, you can do your CAPM, and hybrid consulting limited or hybrid group are very good at this. You can walk up to them to do your project management training with them. I think they're going online next week, so it's a very good way to plug yourself into that. So that is how to actually come into project management career from the scratch. It's about reviewing your CV, talk to people, let them review your CVs for you, make sure you get all the buzzwords. And like I say to people, there are no specific structure to how CVs should be done. My structure, like Darry is saying now, he's been doing CVs for people and they've been taking it around and they're saying, oh, fantastic CV and all of that. His structure is different from mine. That's what I've been getting about my CV as well, to say, oh, your CV is fantastic. Everywhere I've been to, the recruiter will always tell me, who did your CV for you? Or the interviewer. And I said, nobody. I did my CV for myself, by myself and all that. And so this is a fantastic CV and all that. So it's all about structure. So there's no specific structure, but how do you want to structure it? Have you seen a winning CV? If you've seen a winning CV, then you can tailor your CV along the line of a winning CV. So for me, that is a typical way to actually plug yourself into project management.
Very, very good, very good. And someone sending a message as well to the apprenticeship as well. So, I mean, for those based in the UK.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if there's any of such scheme in Nigeria, but in the UK, you have apprenticeship scheme where you get with an organization and you don't know anything about it. They bring you in, they pay for your trainings, some of them even pay for your degree program, and you are working full-time with the organization and studying part-time. Is also a good way to get in as well.
Yep.
So for those who are graduates, your options are mentorship, internship. So, and when looking for internship opportunities, sometimes it doesn't always have to be paid, especially even if it's voluntary right now, because there are a lot of people who are going to be looking for job going forward. And one of the things that is always very essential on your CV is how much experience have you got. So sometimes if you can as well, so sometimes you can even do your voluntary internship part-time. You have a full-time job that you do because you know you want to do a change of career. Look for somebody who might be able to. That's why it's very good. Network a lot on LinkedIn. Do you understand? And by the time you connect with people and they recognize you and they know you need this, such opportunities might be able to point you in some direction. I mean, I know some people that might be able to refer you to say, okay, you can do this remotely, and somehow you're able to get those skills, get them on your CV without having to lie. Because some people will say, just lie on your CV. You don't want to do that. So you want to do as much as possible to expose yourself into it. And something Ayo said earlier that is very important is that everything that you do in your place of work is projectized. So if you're trying to do a career change, you just need to look for how to, what's it called? How to explain what you've done as a project. So you worked in an organization where you worked on a marketing campaign. How can you explain your marketing campaign of 2 months as a project? You managed an event. How can you explain that event as a project on your CV? So these are things that are very important. And certifications, like is mentioned, PMP, CAPM, check out those things if you're looking at the other ones, if you're looking at business analysis role. So you're looking at things in as IIBA is a very good organization you want to look at. At least that's still like the prior organization when it comes to certifying business analysts today.
Business analyst, correct.
IIBA is also another organization you want to look at. And then if you're looking at the direction of Agile project management, you can look for certifications in Certified Scrum Master, Product Owner, and some of the other ones, Agile methodologies I mentioned earlier. So now, please, if you have questions at this point, you can start sending them in. So we want to start picking up questions from your end and things like that. So, and I'm just saying so talking in the place of remote work, you should also open up yourself to such opportunities regardless of where you are located. try to start searching out for things like that. So if you just search it out, there are a lot of opportunities. I mean, in the UK, for instance, when you're looking at project management roles, especially within IT, JobServe.
Yeah.
JobServe. Which other one would you want to mention, Ayo, on that? So we can just drop
They
that.
should use Indeed. They can use Indeed.co.uk.
Indeed.co.uk.
Yeah, they can use that. JobServe. If you're looking for role, you can use cv-library.co.uk. You can use, if you're looking for jobs in the city, you can use cityjobs.com. So when I say city, I mean London. Looking for jobs in London, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. If you're looking at, those are the ones I've used in the past.
Yeah, and also another thing I'll just chip in there is there are startup organizations that maybe the only 2, 3, 4 of them somewhere, and some of those guys are more open to considering having people to work with them remotely and all that. So if you have your way of searching out for startup companies, there's this website, I can't remember the name now, where they list a number of, I think, startup companies are listed on Crunchbase, but there's this particular place where they list startup job opportunities and all. I think there's even a website that's called Startup Jobs. So just look out for it. You might be able to find out some of those opportunities as well too. So, okay. So on that note, my question I just want to ask at this point now is that just at the beginning, you mentioned skills and techniques. So would you just please take us through broadly those skills and techniques that we should be looking at? You've broadly mentioned the place of stakeholder management. So some of those other things that people need to search out and read more on that should also be on their CV.
Okay, so I'll go back to that definition of project management then, and I can break it down because, like I said, there are 4 things you need to look out for there. That project management is the application of skills, knowledge, tools and techniques to project activities. Now, what are the skills you need? You need, like I said, your communication skills should be up here. Basically, whenever you want to talk, because as a project management professional or person, you will always keep on talking. And now the mistakes that we've made in the past is we're saying that, you know what, Dari, I'm not technically inclined. Oh, that's a technical project and all that. I can't get into project management because I'm not technical. Now, as it is, you're not expected to be technical before you can become a project manager. And that is why your communication skills needs to be up here. It needs to be 100%, meaning your job is to bring all of these technical guys together and making sure that you're coordinating whatever they're saying, even though some organizations now want people that has got a little bit of technical experience, so that when they're talking, when the technical guys are talking, at least they will be able to interpret things and all of that. I jokingly, we did a migration from LoopUp to Microsoft Teams in my office, and they were doing the stuff in batches. And I told my program manager that, okay, I've not been migrated. I said it's been migrated. I said, okay, what's the reason? So when he said it's been migrated, and I said, what's the reason? He said, because they looked at people that have been using LoopUp, costing them money using LoopUp. Because of that, they quickly migrated those folks to Microsoft Teams. And I said, oh, you know what, Phil? That shows you're doing your job very well. They said, what do you mean? I said, yeah, because that means you're communicating. That means you're spending the organization's money to communicate with people. And because we've been on lockdown for 6, 7 weeks now, he has been on top of his game, communicating as a program manager within the project. And I said, you're doing a good job. That's just what it is. He said, no, you know what? He just said it jokingly, you know what, that's just I've not been working on. I've been doing is talking. Where I said, as a program manager, you're expected to talk. You're expected to talk to this person, talk to that person. Are they talking to each other? Make sure they are talking to each other. And the project will keep on progressing. So your communication skills needs to be up here. Your negotiation skills needs to be up here, because sometimes you get yourself in an organization where some of the resources are working on their BAU activities, their business as usual activities, and you need them on your project as well. You should be able to negotiate for the best resources to work on your project as well. And while you're talking with third-party vendor as well, your negotiation skills should be there to be able to negotiate properly with them. And your problem solving skills, it should be superb. It should rely on you to say, you know what, and like I said, my program manager is one person like that. If you're looking for any problem, I say, Phil, the MD is gonna come look for you. They've got a problem at the production floor, and they're gonna come look for you. Meanwhile, he's a program manager. He's not even supposed to be on the production floor, but he's always solving that problem for them. Every problem they've got, he will always solve it for them. And he said it jokingly he said, you know what? That problem just got solved, and someone just asked me that, how did I do it? And I just want to tell them I prayed about it. And I'm like, oh, you can't tell them that. I said, but you can't tell them that. You have to tell them something. So your problem solving skills needs to be there, and also you need to make sure that you've got good listening ears. Like we said, that's what communication is all about, really. You have to make sure that you are the person people can come to, and you can listen you can listen to talk, and not just listening just because you just want to hear them talk. You want to listen to respond at the end of the day. So you have to listen, and you have to make sure that you respond to people as they talk. After they might have spoken about whatever they want to talk about, you're giving them answers, you're reacting back to say, yes, this is what it is, that's why I got you. And one of the ways to do that is when they are talking to you, you're trying to reiterate it back to them to say, okay, you're talking about this, you're talking about that, you're talking about this. So these are just few of the skills you need to really, really work on. Now, when we come to knowledge, because I say skills, knowledge, now, PMI, Project Management Institute, or PMBOK, Project Management Body of Knowledge, has grouped this into 10 different knowledge areas. To say the first one is what we call integration. You, as a project manager, you must be able to integrate everything together. You must be, so the next one is called scope management. When we talk about scope management, is as a project is going to give you a scope. Like I said earlier on, the scope of a project is we need to migrate all the systems within the organization from Office 2000 or 2010 to Office 365. That is the scope of a project. So your job is to make sure that you're managing that scope of a project properly. You're making sure that you're not gold plating, and you're making sure that scope creeping is not happening to the scope of work given to you to manage. Then another knowledge they've spoken about is what is called the time management. Now, time management is how you manage time, how you manage the schedule of project, how you manage the project properly from start to finish. So as a project manager, you must have the knowledge, you must have the know-how, how to manage your project from start to finish. What are the activities we need to do from point A to point B to point C to point D to point F up until Z? So as a project manager, your job is to make sure that you bring people together to be able to manage that. The next to that is what is called cost management. So while I'm saying this, some projects will have individuals coming in to manage some of these areas. Like I said, on that particular 500 million pounds project I worked on, we brought in a change manager just to manage the scope of work, to make sure that we're not deviating from the scope. On that particular project, I was brought in as a time management person to come and manage the schedule. I was brought in as a program planner. To come and manage the plans of the project, to make sure that all the project managers, to make sure that the 7 project managers are working as they should be working, as they are thinking of managing stakeholders. They are not thinking of plans. I'm the one thinking of their plans for them. So next to that is we brought in a Pmo Finance Analyst, which is to manage cost management. So that's number 4 is cost management. So we're bringing in someone to come and manage the cost. The cost of what this person needs to do our estimate for us, needs to do our budget estimate for us, needs to do our cost budgeting, cost estimation, needs to control the cost to make sure that what we're saying we will spend is what we are spending. Because if we're saying that we need to spend 500 million pounds, within that 500 million pounds, we will have broken these things down into different milestones, into different levels, to say, for the first phase, we want to spend 100 million pounds. For the next phase, we want to spend this. So the cost manager is there to make sure that we're managing everything as planned. So that's the role of a finance analyst on the particular project. The next thing to that is quality. Quality, you want to manage quality. You want to manage the quality of a project. You want to manage the quality of a project. I'll keep on saying it, you want to manage the quality of a project, because if you don't manage the quality of a project, that shows that your project has failed. You want to make sure that someone is controlling what we're saying we will do. And this is where Agile is striving more than traditional waterfall, because Agile is saying that let's look at what we've produced. Let's look at the quality of what we produce. Is this what the product owner is looking for? Is this what they're looking? If it's not, then we need to go back and change it. So at the end of the day, we're checking for the quality of the work that is being done. The moment we check for the quality of the work that has been done, if it is by things, so this is where acceptance criteria comes in. So at the start of a project, we want to write what is the acceptance criteria. What at the end of a project, these are things we want to tick off. As Microsoft Word been installed on the Office 365, as Microsoft Teams been installed, as Skype for Business installed, is Publisher installed, is Excel installed. So we have acceptance criteria while we're doing our quality management. So that acceptance criteria is what we are using to tick off at the end of a project to be sure that truly the project manager just delivered what is expected to be delivered, right? So next to that also is we need to talk about managing human resources. We need to actually talk about how do we manage human resources on the project. And managing human resources is about managing your team. How do we manage the team? How do we acquire our team? How do we assemble the team? How do we manage the team going forward? How do we do this? Well, and this is where some of the psychology of things comes in, or philosophy of things comes in, where we're talking about, okay, we need while you're managing your team, you need what is called the Maslow hierarchy of needs. You need to understand what's the need of these people. I'm bringing in this person that all is looking for is just the first level, which is safety, food, and all of that. Food and all of that is what this person is looking for. If that's what the person is looking for, you don't want to entrust that person with huge amount of money. Do you understand? So as a project manager, you need all of these while you're managing your people. You also need to understand how to motivate, which we talked the Hausberg motivational factor. You need to understand how to motivate your people. You need to understand, how do I motivate these people? So there are different factors to that. And that's what human resources is all about. So we're focusing more on managing the team. So as a project manager, you must understand how to manage the human resources. So another thing you need to understand also is how as a project manager, the knowledge I need, how do I manage risk? You need to know how to manage risk. In everything you're doing, you need to understand, how do we identify risk? We need to identify risk on this project. We need to make sure that we are analyzing the risk. What is the probability of this risk happening? What is the impact if this particular risk should happen? How do we respond to this risk? Do we want to accept the risk? Do we want to mitigate the risk? Do we want to reduce the impact of this risk? Or do we want to transfer the risk? Meaning, transferring the risk, I don't want to get into this. Let's buy insurance. With insurance, you transfer the risk to whoever you want to transfer it to. So that is managing your risk. And another thing you can do again, another knowledge which is expected, is how exactly do we do procurement? As a project manager, you're expected to have a little knowledge of procurement management. Contracts. Is it a fixed contract? Is it a combustible contract? Is it that? So you must understand how to do all of these as well. Then another thing that you need to understand, which is, this is where I spoke about earlier on, is a stakeholders management. You need to understand how to manage stakeholders. How do I manage stakeholders? How do I identify my stakeholders? Who is this person? This person has got the power to break down my project. That person has got the influence to make sure my project doesn't proceed. So you need that as a project manager to identify who's got the power, who's got the influence, who is got the say on this particular project, and you need to make sure you manage them. Or this person for that, all I need to do with that, is to supply that with information, because that impact on this project is not really that great. So all I just need to do is inform him on what is happening. Oh, this particular guy this guy calls the shot in the organization, meaning I need to make sure I engage him almost daily to brief him on what is happening on the project, right? And the last one to that is communication. You want to understand how to communicate. Who are the people we need to communicate to? How do we plan communication? Dare might work well with emails, while Phil doesn't work well with emails. Phil works well with text messages or WhatsApp messages. So you need to understand the channels you need to use in communicating with people. And also, how do we plan communication? What is, so you have to get your communication grid out to say, at what we need to communicate to this person. Okay, what are the things we need to communicate to this person? So as a project manager, these are the knowledge you need to understand on how to do. Then I now spoke about the tools and techniques. Now, the tools and techniques varies from organizations to organizations, varies from person to person. Basically, one of the tools and techniques you can use is, I'll pick up planning as an example. One of the tools you can use for planning is to use your MS Project to plan. That's a tool to plan. One of the tools you can use to plan on a project is to use Primavera. One of the tools to plan is to use Star Power Project. You can use At Risk to plan, and you can use Excel to plan. So you've got the various tools you can use to plan. But what are the techniques you need to use to plan? One of the techniques you can use is, okay, we need to plan. Let's get everybody in the room. Let's do a planning workshop. So whenever we're doing planning workshop, that's a technique of getting facts and figures out of people to say from start to finish, how do we plan this project? One of the techniques you can use again is to make sure that you're reviewing past documents or past projects. If you review documents and past projects, that's a technique you're using to get facts out as well. You can walk up to people to interview them on how they feel the plan should go. That is a way, that's a technique. A technique also, like we said earlier on, techniques varies. So it's all dependent on how you want to do your technique, and how you want to carry out the job you're working on. So basically that is all about project management. So you can see there are a lot of information that I've spoken about, that it's not something we can digest with 1 hour, 30 minutes webinar like this. It's a 5 days, a long time learning that you need to do.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. I believe that some of those things that you've touched are things that some people now have that clarity on what to look for, what to search for as well. So you can sit down and make sure those knowledge areas are things they are searching for, the skills are things they are searching to understand as well too. So my final question here is that, I said, my final question here now is, in a situation, how do you earn the trust of your managers? So regardless of the roles that you're working, or let's broaden that a bit. How do you earn the trust of stakeholders? So two ways to approach that question is, I'm trying to get the job. How do I earn the trust of this hiring manager in that interview for him to be able to trust me that I can deliver? Then after I've been engaged on that job as well, so you interact with stakeholders a lot. Sometimes depending on the size of the project, you can even interact with as high up as the CEO. How do you earn the trust of the stakeholders you work with for them to believe that, because the challenge with trust is when people don't trust that you know what you're doing, when people don't have that trust that you can deliver on the job, sometimes their level of collaboration or their level of cooperation might be low. But if you can earn their trust, they probably be more on your side and help you better. So what can you do? Sharing from your own story, for instance, how have you been able to earn people's trust?
I'll start from a hiring manager. One of the ways to earn the trust of a hiring manager is make sure you're prepared before an interview. Make sure you're prepared. You prepare yourself before an interview. And why?
Sorry, you're on mute again. I was trying to mute somebody else and I got you muted.
Okay. So you have to be prepared. When you're going for an interview, make sure you're prepared. That's the first way to earn the trust of a hiring manager, when they see that you're prepared. And number two is whenever they throw questions at you, because this is the way most interviews will go in the UK, even in Nigeria. This is the way most interviews will go. They will tell you that, okay, this is James, that's Morrison, that's that, this is my role, that's that, and you are Ayo. Yes, okay. Now, we're bringing you in because of this particular project. They will tell you what the project is. First of all, explain to you that this is the project, this is and we're bringing you in as a project manager to come and manage this particular part of the project, that data migration, to come and manage the data migration part of the project and all of that. And these are the problems we have. These are the problems we have at the moment because we don't have a project manager at the moment, but we have James. James is a program manager. James is trying to manage the data migration project, but because he's a program manager, he's not really well focused on the project. So we're bringing you in to come and help us with that data migration and all of that. So they will tell you all of that. At the moment they say all of that to you, don't start saying, the project manager must be able to do this. The project manager must be able to do that. No, all you need to say is, when I'm in, this is what I would do. When you bring me in, so you start putting yourself in that already. That okay, I will gather. I will make sure that a meeting is set up with all the stakeholders to have an explanation with them. I will do this. Don't say what should be done. What should be done is the project manager should gather or da 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 da. No, start putting yourself into that shoe. So start seeing yourself as part of a team. What you're trying to do is you're getting yourself into their head. And if someone else should come into the interview and the person is not doing that, you are still the one they are remembering. If the person is saying the project manager would do, they will say that, okay, we saw this person and this person is in our head already, and is saying that is showing us how it fits into the system already. So that is how to start getting yourself within the hiring manager. Now, when you get in, that's where the job is. I'll give you a typical example. One of my very first role in this country, the hiring manager played into my hands. Let me put it that way. Played into my hands in the sense that I'm a trainer. And the lady just said, "These are our problem. This is it. We need a program planner to come in, to come and help us because we don't have a plan. A 500 million pounds project. They don't have a plan for a 5 million pounds project." And I said, "Okay, that's fine," and all that. And she said, "How do you intend to do this?" And I just told her that, "Do you have a pen?" She said, do you have a marker?" She said, "Yes, I've got a marker." And I stood up. And that was my strength. And I used my strength for her, explaining how a project should be done or how a project should be planned from start to finish. And at the end of the day, right there and there, she told me that, "When do you want to start?" That was what she asked me. She first said, "If we bring you in, are you giving me the trust that you will do all of these things you've explained to me now, that's what you would do?" And I said, "Of course, that's my role. That's what you're bringing me in for." And he said, "So when do you want to start?" I'm like, "Okay, where do I want to start?" "Okay, I've been looking for this role. Yeah, I want to start now." And all that. Okay, so that was how it went. And by the time I got into the organization, don't forget that I only did interview with 3 people. But now you're not in there. You're now meeting over 150 people.
Mm.
How do you convince the 150 people like you convince the 3 people in the room? Yeah. Now, how to do that is to make sure that you're telling them, assuring them that you are there to help. And any problem they've got, you're there to help them. You're not there to be a burden to them. That is very, very critical. They will think you're coming to be a burden. Some might even think you're coming to get their job, that if you do your job very well, they might chuck them out of the room and you'll be the next person to sit on their desk. So you have to assure them that I'm here to complement the team and not to do any other thing. I'm here to do my part of the role, and we need to do for the success of the project. It's all about the success of a project. You have to always reiterate it to them. It's all about the success of a project. It is all about the success of a project. And like I said, people management is one of the skills you need to learn as well, how to manage people. And if there's one thing I think I'm good at, is people management. I can look at you for just one day of working together. I understand that, okay, that guy likes coffee. Okay, that one likes a box of chocolate. You understand? The next time I'm going up, I don't drink coffee. I'll just say, "Oh, do you mind? Let's go have coffee together." Yeah, bill on me. Don't worry. This time around, it's my round. You just tell them it's my round this time around, and you're getting them coffee and all of that. All you're just doing is you're just trying to build relationship. It's nothing. It's all about building relationship, and building relationship as a project manager or as a project management person is the best thing you can do. You don't have to come there and start rubbishing everybody's work. No, that is not the way to go about it. You come there, praise them. Even if you see that it was rubbish, I could imagine the first plan I saw in my life, it was just a list of activities from a £500 million project. I said, oh, fantastic, we've got something we can start with. You understand? That was what I said, fantastic, we've got something we can start with. Start with this. You know what? I'm going to set up a 30-minute meeting with you to just understand your side of the project and how we can work together to make sure that we'll get a program plan that the program manager is looking for, and I'm sure he will be happy with us when we get it out. Again, so that was how I was able to build a trust, and this is what I do. I don't go into organization, and I can say, all glory to God. I've worked with GSK. I've worked with British American Tobacco. I've worked with British Petroleum. I've worked with MasterCard. I've worked with Princess Group, Mitsubishi at the moment, and I've worked with U National Grid. And I've been in all of these. It's been fantastic working with a team, and making sure that you're having that conversation with them. If they are talking about, oh, the weather is so terrible today, you to tell them, yeah, the weather is so wet today. You might not use the bad word. Just flow with it. And because like in UK, for folks in the UK, all they want to talk about, like we talk about traffic in Lagos, what they talk about here in London or UK is weather. Like you come in the morning and you say, oh, the traffic this morning was so terrible. In UK, oh, the weather this morning is so shitty. That's what they say. Excuse my French. You understand? So you just join the conversation, even though you know that, oh, this weather, this is nothing to what we experience in Nigeria, you know. So you just flow with them, basically, to have that conversation. So that is how to actually gain the trust of the people, making sure that you're coming there, reiterating it to them that I'm here to complement, I'm here to help out, I'm here to fulfill my part of a program for the success of a project or the success of a program, basically. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ayo. I mean, from what you've said, I've heard you there saying that we need to, as much as possible, play to your strength. Whatever is your strength, try to leverage it. Everybody has
Absolutely
something that is charming about them. Some people, it's how you speak with people, how you care about them. Whatever it is for you, just make sure you leverage it as much as possible. And when you're in an interview, like Ayo mentioned, don't just talk to people about what you can do, demonstrate it to them. So demonstrate it. So when they ask you about something, rather than just say, yes, I've done that before, explain the situation where you've done it before and narrate that story. Give them that, give a story of that matter. Storytelling is something that is very, very essential.
I've got something to talk about that storytelling just very, very quickly. Now, I've worked like I said, I've worked in big organizations. I've worked in big teams, and this present role I am at the moment happens to be a very small team for a very massive project. And I've done my interview, I've done everything, and the program manager said, no, the person you've hired, I really want to talk to this guy and all that. So I went for the interview. And the guy picked up something which was going to throw me off balance, really. And the question was, Ayo, you've worked with BP, you've worked with BAT. These are massive, these are big organizations, these are big team of like 150. He said, it's just going to be 4 of us on this team to manage this massive program. It's just a little team. How do you intend to work in a smaller team that you've never worked before? Trust me, like I said, this is all about, I'm a believer, I'm a Christian, and I don't apologize to people for that, really. That was the first time I was going to be talking about being a Christian in an interview. I know people will tell you that you don't say that here in the UK because you don't know if the next person might be an atheist and all of that. I said this to you. I said, you know what, Phil? I said, I'm leading small teams in my church, the ushering department, the meet and greet people. I said, I'm managing them, and to me, they are small teams, and I've been successful in managing them. And the guy said, oh, that's very good. He said, okay, that's good. And I said, I get result. And after the interview, he just closed his laptop. You know what, Ayo, this interview is over. You mentioned something about church. Do you want to talk about it? Mm. Without knowing that the guy I was even talking to was a pastor, or he's a pastor. Mm. You understand? And all I was just doing was just to look for how do I make use of a smaller team. a knowledge of a smaller team. And I told him I've worked in. So sometimes just go with your leading. Just go with that leading. Just explain it. And before I knew it, the guy just said, you know what? I just want to have a chat. This is not really an interview. The guy that told me earlier on that it was an interview, after he now said it was just a chat, that it's not really an interview. I said, okay, that's fine. And I got a job. You get, just because I was able to leverage on something that I've done in the past. So always do that. Always projectize, even if they tell you that explain a scenario to us. Don't ever say, I don't know anything about that scenario, or I've not had that scenario before. They will tell you that, okay, you have a stakeholder within your organization, you have a stakeholder within your team that is so difficult to manage, Even if such a thing, even if there is no way you've managed a difficult person before, even if it's your brother, you've managed your brother before, projectize that situation. How did you manage that situation? Not the brother you slapped. You understand? The one you had a very good negotiation with. You understand? Projectize the situation, present that situation. You can call your brother a colleague, you can call your sister a colleague. It doesn't have to brother, sister. So that is the way to paint a scenario whenever you're in an interview.
Yeah, so thank you for that addition as well too, because it's very important to know that when giving case studies or examples in an interview on the place of work, you can actually leverage other things that is outside work, your friendship, your relationship, your personal efforts that you've done. You've planned a birthday party, and if you are married, at least you've planned your wedding. I don't know which project is as complex as a wedding, really, because I remember when I was going to get married, when my wife presented, because my wife is also a project manager, and when she presented the project plan for the wedding, I'm like, I'm not ready for this. So anyway, so if these things are projects, and you can leverage on those experience as well too.
Absolutely, yeah.
And use the right terminologies when explaining them. Some of all these things that I have mentioned, the skills and the knowledge that you need to have, try to manage stakeholder management, communication management, the planning, things like that. Using the right terminologies to explain those things are very essential. And one thing I just want to hammer in as well to what I mentioned was around the place of when you're working with your colleagues. And this is relevant to everybody, whether you get into a project management career or not. You don't put down the work of others. It never works, because if you go around talking bad of other people's efforts, it's not going to bring you up. People are just going to see you as that person with a negative energy or something. So no matter how, even when the work is not up to standard, you can give people the correction personally, but you don't say it out to the entire team. You don't say something that will demoralize people. It's very, very, very important to bear that in mind in your conversation. Try to put people up. You know, there's this story about a pastor who always says something positive about everybody, no matter how bad. And then there was this very, very wicked man in that street that died. And then everybody was like, oh, this wicked man. When it got to the day of his burial ceremony, a lot of people attended. You would have been surprised that why did a lot of people attend this burial ceremony? They were all attending because they were wondering to say, how will this pastor find something good to say about this man? Because they saw him, everything about him was negative. So they were all watching out for what he's going to say, if he's going to find something positive to say about the man. But when he was going to talk about the man, he said, one thing I admire so much about the deceased is that he had beautiful set of teeth. So even though there were a lot of negative, but he looked for that positive, even though it's only these teeth. He focused on it and hammered on it. So try to look at people positive, start from there, commend them properly, and move on from there. And one thing as well, when I was talking about skills and talked about the place of listening, you know, sometimes some of us think that, oh, I'm a very good listener and all that. Listening skill is not just about, it's different from just hearing what somebody is saying. For me, for instance, the greatest training I've gotten in my listening skills is from my wife. Like when we are discussing, because I talk a lot, I might say to myself, oh, my communication is expert, but my listening was not very good enough. And if your listening skills is not good enough, then your communication skills is not balanced. Because if you've not listened clearly, you might be giving the wrong response. You might be giving something that is not very relevant. So it's very, very important to learn to listen. And it's about being genuinely interested in what the other person is saying, and not just focus on what you want to say. Be interested in what they have to say. Sometimes encourage more conversation. And like I was listening to someone, it's called Chris Voss, on negotiation. And if you want to learn negotiation skills, if you Google Chris Voss, Chris VOSS. So he's worked with, what do they call them? I think the FBI or some of those military intelligence or so in the US. And some of the negotiation skills he used with terrorists, he now teaches them to apply in business. It talks about a very intelligent thing that sometimes when you're negotiating with people, when they are saying something to you, try to rephrase the last 3 words back to them as a question so that they would throw more light on it and all, and they would just say, oh, I don't really feel good today. Oh, you don't feel good today? The person goes on telling you why they don't feel good without you necessarily saying, why don't you feel good? So some things like that. So just as much as possible, this helps you because when you connect well with people, and I also mentioned earlier as well, to the personal relationship you have with people. Don't be one of those colleagues that say, oh, I'm just here for work. I just do my work and get away from here.
Nope.
It never works like that. In the UK, for instance, going to the pub is like is a normal thing. Like, oh, we are doing Sandford for somebody, you have to go to the pub. We are doing this. Sometimes we just like, oh, it's the last Friday of the month. Let's just go around to the pub and things like that. Like, go and hang around. Like, I don't take any form of alcohol, but I still go to the pub with some of those catch up and I take what I can take there. And just for those interactions, because those personal interactions you have sometimes outside your project, outside your work, it solidifies the connection you have with your team. And it eventually helps your delivery. Because when people feel more connected with you, there's a research that Google did one time that what makes teams successful. And they did a lot of research and they realized that it's not about expertise, it's not about intelligence. They found out 5 things. And one of the most important things was psychological safety. That the team, can they trust themselves? Do they feel comfortable amidst themselves? And you only get that level of comfort amidst your team when you have those interactions that are not even directly work related. So I hope that we'll be able to take note on some of these things and implement them. And especially if you are leading a team in whatsoever capacity, you need to be genuinely interested in each and every individual in your team. Don't just see them as resources to deliver your job. See them as human beings. See them as people that you need to connect with. It's something that is very, very essential. And these are the things that helps you. The way people will only trust you when they know you. And they won't know you if you don't make efforts to connect with them. So each time you make effort to connect with people, show transparency in yourself, it helps you to earn more trust, either even in business or even outside business. And trust is something that is very, very essential. I've been doing a lot of research on trust this year. I'm writing a book on that at the moment. And I'm beginning to see that a lot, if you want to grow in your career, in your business, people need to trust you. And so please connect with people. When they know you, they find it more likely to trust you. So let's pick questions. Let's pick questions from everyone here so we can wrap up. Hopefully we'll wrap up in the next 10, 15 minutes. Someone says, how true is the assertion that Prince 2 is more relevant in the IT field than engineering sphere? You mentioned Prince 2 earlier, Ayo. So
yes.
Yeah.
Is actually dependent on the organization, and yes, it is more like I spoke about procurement management. Prince 2 is quite silent when it comes to procurement management, and if you know that in construction environment, you have to engage yourself in procurement. You have to engage yourself in stakeholders management and all of that. So there are a few things that Prince 2 is silent about that PMP is not. So PMP is a global one. Prince 2 is more of UK. And yes, you can put it that way, but that is not 100% true. But yes, Prince 2 works more with IT project, very, very well more with IT project.
Okay.
I hope that answered the question.
Okay, good. Is there any other question? I can't find any other question. It feels like provided more than enough information here. Anybody asking any other question? None? Okay, so on that note, I'll just talk about, I
have a question.
Oh, okay. Shoot, please.
All right. So thank you very much for putting this up. I've really get some pleasant insights with I think in about the 1 hour I've been able to listen. I've also taken some notes. But I'm a beginner in all of this project management space and everything.
Okay.
And I'm looking at starting a career. But I'm wondering, do one need to go get a master's degree, or get some certifications, or how can someone kickstart a career in project management?
Okay, thank you. First of all, David, where's your location? That will determine.
Okay, I'm in Abuja, Nigeria.
Okay, so what for Nigeria, one of the best way to start, because in Nigeria we are certification driven, and they want to see how many stars do you have on your shoulder and all of that. Yes, getting a qualification, which is PMP, is still the best.
Okay.
It's still the best you can have. You get start off with PMP, then from there start looking for roles. Like I'll tell you how I started. It was my youth service year in Abuja that I came across a particular project management certification. It's called CompTIA Project Plus. I did that, and that actually gave me an edge. Immediately I finished my youth service. That gave me a very good landing to start applying for project management role, and I got my first role immediately after youth service as a project management trainee with a company in Lagos. So that is exactly what they want to see. If you want to see, okay, yeah, because most of these people will even employ you because they want to use your certificate to apply for jobs and all that. So that's another advantage for certification in Nigeria, basically.
All right. Thank you.
Does that answer your question? So that is a way to start, really. Getting your certificate is a way to start first.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, so please, yeah.
Okay, someone said, can you please lay more emphasis on the 10 knowledge areas integration aspect? Okay. For the integration aspect, like all the 9 I've mentioned, integration is there to bring everything together. Right, integration is just there to make sure that are we pulling everything together? There's a change control board in place. Is a project manager really developing what we call the project management plan? A project management plan is that document that integrates every aspect together. So that is what that is all about, really. Adiola is saying, question, can you please advise on certification that can do to support or as an evidence of your skills, such as stakeholders management? Now, if you go for your CAPM or your PMP, yes, these are knowledge areas within PMP that are focused areas. So all of the 10 knowledge areas I spoke about are focused areas within PMP certification. And the moment you have that, people will understand that, yes, you understand what communication management is all about, you understand what scope management is all about, you understand what stakeholders management is all about. So I would recommend PMP really if Adiola is in Nigeria, but if you're in the UK, Prince 2 is the first thing, or is the number 1 project management certification to do in the UK.
Yeah. Okay. So
does that answer your question, Adiola? Okay.
Okay. Any other question?
Yes, I did. Thank you. Okay. Sorry, I couldn't find a button. Thank you.
Okay.
Fine. Okay, someone is saying, Ijoma is asking that she would like to know more about procurement. Well, procurement as it is buying. You get so as a project manager, you need to understand what are the types of contracts do we want to sign with this particular vendor. Let's assume I just spoke about migration of your, okay, let's go into construction now. Let's go into construction project. You want to build a house, or they've asked you to build complexes and all of that. You want to ask yourself that this particular vendor, what kind of contract do I need to sign with this particular vendor? Do I sign a fixed contract, or do I use time and material? Time and material in the sense that as we're doing the work, we'll pay you. You do the work, we pay. You do the work, we pay. We'll do the work, we pay. You understand? On a daily basis, it's not that we have a fixed contract with you. If there's no job tomorrow, you're not collecting money for the job if there's no job. But for fixed price contract, we're saying that this contract is fixed. So a bag of mortar, or we call it cement in Nigeria, a bag of cement is 2,500 naira. So if it's 2,500 naira, you and I signed a contract to say it's 2,500 naira. If tomorrow it's 2,700 naira, it is none of my business. You need to supply me my cement. So that's a fixed price contract. You understand? So as a project manager, you need to understand what are the things with negotiation. How do you negotiate your way around vendors and all that? Does that make any sense? Okay, so that is what procurement is about. What do you procure? What are the techniques? What are the skills in negotiating? What are the contract types? For this particular vendor is a different contract. For that particular vendor is a different contract. So you need to make sure you manage procurement at that time, at that point. Okay. Any other question?
Yeah, someone.
Ayola is asking, can one apply for online certifications on project? Absolutely. With COVID-19 coming up, yes, almost everything is now going online. Most people are getting their LMS online now. So one of those is, like I mentioned earlier, one of those is hybrid group. They will be rolling out their online project management next week. So you can search for them in Nigeria, and we have other companies as well that you can link into from UK. Like since it's online, they can be in the UK, they can be in India, they can be in Bangladesh, and it will all definitely be the same as well. So just search online for some of them.
Yeah, so you can find a lot of all those, like I said, many of those. There are even some certifications whereby you might find the exams online. You just sit down at home, write the exam. Maybe you can even self-study for it. For instance, if it's a situation where you're trying to save cost or something, but it's always advisable to attend the training when you can, because it's not just about having the certificate, it's about having the knowledge as well too. So someone asked about getting the recording. Yes, we'll be sharing the recording online. So if you registered for this event on Eventbrite, that means we have your email and we'll be able to send you the link. But if you did not register for this online and you want to make sure you get the link, please send me an email. I'll just drop my personal email now. Send me an email. Maybe you just stumbled on the link somewhere or a friend shared the link with you. Just send me an email and then I would include you into that and share the link with you. Alternatively, if it's
Jonathan is asking a question here, Dari, that how can one marry project management certification with a PhD certificate in a science field? And now I know there is that understanding, or there is that rule of thumb that whoever is doing his PhDs or a PhD wants to become a lecturer, basically. Well, there's that rule of thumb in Nigeria, basically. But that's not the case. Now, for your PhD, you can divert it to something else. To say your PhD is in science. Definitely, there are a lot of activities, a lot of researches that you can project manage. You're project managing yourself, which will definitely give you an edge compared to other people that are just doing job as it comes to them. But you need to understand and know, I need to define a scope for this project. I need to plan this project from start to finish. These are my milestones for the next 1 month. This is what I need to do for the next 2 months. This is what I need to do for the next 3 months. I need to do. You can actually use all the project management processes or methodology or framework to design the work you are doing. And before you know it, you're a success already. Does that answer what you're looking for, Jonathan? Okay.
Yeah, so that way, so Jonathan, explain what you've done in your PhD as a project. When possible, please get your certification as well too, because in the UK, for instance, I've worked with some people with PhD degree, and I was placed in a place where I've not even finished my master's program, and I was earning even much more than someone who came in with a PhD. So it's just like Ayo said, it's mainly because PhD gets this recognition more in the academic space. So if you want to get into project management, please still you'll be surprised that even if you have a PhD in project management, some organizations are still looking for you having a certification in project management again. Yes.
Correct. Yeah.
So please, it's always very, very relevant. And where you can as well to get your hands on some projects, maybe some extra work, volunteering or internship or something that you can do while your program is still in progress. So I've been thinking, for instance, I'm looking forward to put together an arrangement where I'll be able to help people to get some form of virtual internship around project management, agile project management, and things like that. It's still in the works, but nothing to really give in details on that right now. But connect with me on LinkedIn. My name is Dario Duale. Connect with Ayo on LinkedIn as well too, Ayo Kogi. So you can still ask more questions, send those. I've dropped my email. I even dropped my mobile number as well too. You can connect. We could just help ourselves as much as we can. And one more thing, then I give it to Ayo to wrap up, give us a closing, summarize the whole thing in 2 minutes. Okay, so one more thing, announcement I just want to make is that so one of the things I've been trying to do is organize sessions just to help both your career and your business. Because with what is happening today, the world is actually moving on to this direction where it's moving in a direction where you have your full-time 9-to-5 job, but yet you have your business that you're building again. And some of us have even made that full transition. Some people on this call today are full-time entrepreneurs in their case. So when I'm organizing these sessions, like today, we've really talked about things around career. The next session we'll be having in 2 weeks from today is looking at your business. So, and the title for that is Beyond Profits, Finding Purpose in Business. Beyond Profits. I've dropped the link to the Eventbrite. You can click that to register for it if you're interested. A mentor of mine is coming in for that session as well too. He's written this devotional that is called Bible MBA. Very, very amazing devotional. So if you use the U Bible version app, if you search for that devotional, Bible MBA, it's amazing. Gives some very, very unique insights to how to run a business, unique approach to how to think about your brand, how it relates with your culture and things like that. So I can promise you, you've attended today's session and I know you've really, really learned a lot. So this next one, sign up. It's free as well, so we're not charging you. So get into that and invite your friends. I tell you, you will be super blessed if you attend that session. Yeah. So over to you, Ayo. Give us a wrap up in 2-3 minutes. Like, assume that somebody has missed everything that you've said today. You now want to boil all the information into 2-3 minutes. I know this is a difficult project for you, but I know you've done more difficult things in the past. So please boil on everything into 2-3 minutes for us. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Dari. Yeah. We've been talking about project management since, and we started off by defining what a project is. And we told ourselves that a project is always there to produce a unique product or service at the end of the day, and is always temporary, meaning there's always a finished date or a finished time to project. And also we went on to tell ourselves that project management is the application of 4 key things, which is your skills, the knowledge, and tools and techniques. And we spoke about skills as negotiation skills, problem solving skills, communication skills. We spoke about a few other skills as well. And also knowledge, we spoke about the 10 knowledge areas, which is the scope, the risk, the communication, the human resources, the stakeholders management, and all the things about that. And also we spoke about structuring your CV. What do you need to put on your CV? You need to start looking for the buzzwords to put on your CV, and some of the little buzzwords are SharePoint, RAID, log, risk, issues, dependencies, decisions, actions, MS project, planning, milestones, and all of that. So those are things we also spoke about also. And also we try to differentiate between Agile project management and also Waterfall project management with traditional Waterfall. And we told ourselves that yes, traditional Waterfall, it's Agile is taking the place of traditional Waterfall within the IT project, but it's not something that will come up with, that will get chased out within the next decade. So you can still plug yourself into it. And also we said that during your interviews, make sure you're cool, relaxed while you're going through your interview, and also make sure that you gain or earn the trust of the people you're working with by making sure that you're telling them you're there to complement what they're doing. You're here to do your part of a program, to get the success of the program, and not to ridicule anybody's job on the program. And also we told ourselves about different jobs you can apply for. We told ourselves that you can go for project managerial role, you can go for assistant project manager's role, you can go for PMO manager's role, PMO lead role, PMO analyst, PMO support, PMO planner, PMO Finance Analyst. If you're a finance person, a qualified accountant, you can go into that as well. We also told ourselves that one of the ways to plug yourself into project management as a fresher or someone that is just coming in is through mentorship and an internship. And also, we also spoke about apprenticeship as well. And we said that if you're in Abuja, Lagos, you can look at iCentral for internship. And if you're in UK, you can look at FDM, you can look at Accenture, and you can look at one other one that is called Quills as well. I'm not sure if I got the name correctly now. So those are, and we also told ourselves that there are a few things that can make your project to fail. If scope creep will make your project to fail, poor communication, bad stakeholders management will make your project to fail, and all of that. So that's just a summary of everything we spoke about today. And also we said that there are a few project management certification. You can do CAPM, PMP, and if you're in the UK, Prince 2, a foundation and practitioner are good for you. And also we mentioned about some other roles, change management, business analyst, and the likes. And I think, am I able to do the summary?
That's
okay.
That's a very, very amazing summary. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I think Dari, before we go, I think it's good to say this, that we put a registered with you, Dari. You can send two of them to me for mentoring and CV review. I think I've got the capacity to do that at the moment. So you do the selection, and two for mentoring and also for CV review. Yeah.
Amazing offer. So the first two people that send me a message on WhatsApp, I think I dropped my number earlier. They are the ones who would first come, first serve. It makes it easier for me. Anyway, so thank you very much, everybody. And I'm happy to help you as well to reach out to me on LinkedIn, reach out to me on email, reach out to me on WhatsApp. And let's see how we could help your career get to the next level and also help your business as well. So thank you very much for attending today's session. Tony, I'm sure I did not miss any announcements, just checking with you. Tony helps me a lot in putting all this together, doing the planning, sending out the emails and everything like that. He's a very amazing friend and brother. Tony, did I miss out on any announcement?
No, you didn't miss out on any announcement. Thank you.
All right, then. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. So I'll see you again sometime soon. Have a beautiful weekend. Bye.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Yeah, bye. Thanks, everyone.